right, you know the great thing about this edition of Cardinals Underground is the way I figure it, we're not talking about Micah Parsons. We're not talking about Shedeur Sanders. We're not talking, Darren, about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
You don't know that.
We're not talking about the Patriots keeping 8 wide receivers, or even National Dog Day. Okay, this is all ball edition of Cardinals Underground, just moments removed from the final cuts being made. I so wanted to talk about the Paulie Pixian breakout player at camp, nailing both picks for the second straight year. I was this close. So we're not talking about that either.
Who
Paul
did you
Calvisi.
pick?
Well, we went, where'd we go? We went...
You didn't go Bam Knight, I know that.
We went Keaton Crawford, and in a close one, it was either Josh Frier or Elijah Simmons. We opted for Elijah Simmons and put Josh Frier on the watch list, and we should have reversed it. Story of my life. So there we go. All right, top takeaways. The final 53 is out. There's really nothing final about it. It will continue to churn.
It'll probably churn by the time people are listening to this, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because at the moment, the Cardinals don't have a long snapper.
Yeah.
That's tough to play
That's
without.
a good point. They also have 6 cornerbacks, which I'm guessing isn't real feasible for very long. But other top takeaways. What do we have here?
I mean, the Bam Knight thing is obviously the first thing that draws your attention. Bam Knight becomes the 4th running back, and they cut both Michael Carter and DJ Dallas. That, I'll be honest, I did not see that coming.
Nope, I didn't. DJ Dallas, we sort of speculated early in camp whether he might be in the crosshairs because he had a bigger contract and could a young guy supplant him, but you just figured he was... he was acquired by design by Jeff Rodgers for special teams prowess, and he's on every single team. So
the first thing I think of is like, wow, have they turned over their special teams? They had already lost a bunch of special teamers, and now you just got rid of another important guy from last year.
And you have to wonder if that Kansas City performance really, right? The first 2 times he touched the ball, he put it on the ground, DJ Dallas. And you have to wonder at that point, was he on double secret probation? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when Bam Knight balled out, you became expendable. So that was interesting. And we heard that a lot of the coaches in the front office, whenever the name Bam Knight was brought up, progressively as the preseason went on, it was followed with the words, man, we like this guy. We really like this guy. And then when he ripped off a 67-yarder and left the Raiders defense in the dust, maybe that just cemented what they were already feeling.
Now you have the opportunity in the locker room, Paul, to tell him that you're going by Zonovan. Let him know you guys share a first name.
Well, I think it's the least he could do. especially in this moment, where,
sure.
That he can share some of the love, and pay it forward and let me borrow Zonovan for the rest of this season at the very least.
Look like a Zonovan. Has anyone
Seriously?
ever told you that?
I like that. All right. One of the only nice things said to me or about me on the Cardinals Underground.
Did he just do this?
He did. He pounded his chest.
We were on the air with Sam Acho. Danny, if caught it when I said, my under the radar list. I said the kids might, call it the low key list, and I was naming a few names, and then Sam ripped me. He said, no, kids don't even use that anymore, Paul. So, he couldn't even throw me the bone on that one. I wanted to light the lamp with the 25 to 34 demo, and I didn't. Anyway, let's see here. Quick glance at what we have. Zay Weaver over Simi Fehoko.
That was going to be my response to something that surprised. Now, not surprised in the sense where, oh my gosh, if you're looking for an oh my gosh move, it would have been keeping running back Bam Knight. It was a tough competition, that final wide receiver spot. I'm not surprised Cardinals kept 5 rather than 6, given the skill set of those top players. This is a run-heavy offense, and with the new additions on defense, if you wanted to keep an extra D lineman, which the Cardinals did, went from 6 to 7, you got to pull that number from somewhere. That wide receivers room made sense. Xavier Weaver over Simi Fehoko is interesting because Fehoko is a special teams play. He's very good on special teams. Yes, he looked good in the preseason, had multiple touchdowns, looked good on special teams. Throughout his career, Fehoko has been good in that area. This wide receiver spot is not going to be someone you see on the field on offense quite a bit. So if you're looking for somebody who can really earn their spot, to me, I was thinking special teams. That's what we're going to see a lot of from this player. So to go with Weaver over Fehoko, maybe they feel like he has a better ceiling, or maybe can add more as a receiver if he is there on offense, if his number is called. That one I was not fully expecting.
Or, and I speculated on this earlier because the Fehoko news came out when he released it on Instagram, and he had the little video, and he said...
Which he was wrong about, by the way.
How so?
Simi is a unrestricted free agent. He said he had to go through the waiver process. He does not.
He does not.
No.
Okay. All right.
Which I'm hoping his agent let him know that he does have full control over wherever he goes.
Well, either way, my initial reaction was maybe the front office thought they had a better chance of reacquiring Fehoko after releasing him than Xavier Weaver.
Well,
It's possible.
Meaning younger, faster.
More importantly, Simi has total control over what he does. If Xavier Weaver is cut, he is on waivers and anybody could grab him. So that's very possible now that you mention it that way. Although watching that video of Fehoko,
He looked surprised.
he looked surprised and he didn't look like, hey, I know exactly what's going to happen.
It's true.
That is something to keep in mind. Is this is truly an initial 53. Again, you don't currently have a long snapper on your roster. That's obviously going to change. You can only start by having 2 players on IR. So that list includes really just linebacker J.J. Russell, because offensive lineman Hayden Connor and offensive lineman Christian Jones are on IR but have been designated to return. But from a numbers standpoint, it's possible that somebody who's banged up, the Cardinals didn't have room to start them on IR, so they start on the 53. Then you make a transaction, and then you can bring somebody like a long snapper back. I really feel like that's going to be Aaron Brewer still. This is just transactional.
Sure. I agree with that. They did it with Aaron Brewer a couple of years ago, actually. The same thing where they cut him on the initial thing and then they brought him right back. And I would expect the same thing to happen now.
Okay.
So the question is what you're doing it for. Again, teams can have up to 8 players designated to return from injured reserve all season long. But they can only do 2 spots at this point. Then you have to get to the initial 53. Then you can do whatever you want. So they if you have 3 guys you want to put on IR to return, you can only do 2 now, and then you got to carry 1 on your roster. Now, when I look, and we'll see what happens, but I can't tell anybody else unless I'm missing somebody. Justin Jones is the only guy who's been banged up. Now, we don't know exactly what happened after the Raiders game, so I guess somebody, but everybody of import seemed like they played in that game or didn't play in that game. Justin Jones is the one guy who's been battling something. Could he be the one that goes to IR when they bring back Brewer? I don't know, but that is what you can do with the Brewer situation.
One of the first things I did look at when this list came out is the fact that defensive lineman Walter Nolen and outside linebacker B.J. Ojulari are both starting on the PUP list. So Ojulari is still rehabbing his knee injury he suffered last August in training camp, and Nolen, that calf that he suffered before training camp even began. That means that Nolen and Ojulari are at least out for the first 4 weeks. Realistically, while every player and every injury is different, if this is similar in any sense to Darius Robinson last year, even when Robinson was designated to return and given those 21 days to practice, he still needed time to get football ready. I mean, the last time Nolen practiced in pads was how many months ago?
Yeah.
So even if he is designated to return early within those 4 weeks, I mean, this is talking really far in advance now. Like, we're going to end up having the conversation, is he going to need a few weeks to get in those pads and get football ready and get used to the speed of the game and practice? That is important to note of those 2 players starting on PUP, because they are out for at least the first 4 weeks.
It's a great point, because think about it. It's an even steeper challenge than Darius Robinson faced last year. At least D-Rob had the entirety of training camp. At least he had a few preseason snaps. He had all the O-line, D-line drills against veteran offensive linemen. He had quality reps. He had the entire month of August. It wasn't until the first week of September when D-Rob went down, just a few days before the opener at Buffalo. So, yeah, Walter Nolen's hill is that much steeper to climb to come back in this one. But once again, it's who you can get to the practice squad and who has a greater risk of being claimed. For example, Travis Vokalek over Michael Carter. Well, a year ago, you knew running backs weren't in that high a demand. You could give Michael Carter the practice squad. You did. I'm guessing it's the same thinking this time around. You have what you consider the deepest tight end room in the league. Just ask America's tight end coach, by the way, Ben Steele. He will agree with you on that. He voted yes on social media, as he told us in the Big Red Rage. But who's your 4th tight end? Do you need a 4th tight end? You could probably debate that. But as Jonathan Gannon has mentioned to us more than once, you just don't find 6'6", 260-pound blocking tight ends anywhere who know your system. So knock on wood, Tip Ryman goes down. What do? you like to have the insurance policy that is Vokalek.
Well, let's not get sideways either. Like, the fact that they had all three of their top tight ends not get injured last year at all. I mean, that's remarkable. That's right. Remarkable. Yeah. You do, with playing two tight ends all the time, you need four tight ends on your roster. That's my opinion.
I'm guessing they also thought they could get Elijah Simmons to the practice squad. Just the fact he was more of a reserve at Tennessee. And especially Josh Frier playing well against the Raiders, playing well briefly against the Raiders ones. And the fact that was on NFL Network, and they tried to get him out of that game, but they're thinking, nope, at this point there's too much good film out there, and he's a 6'5", 320-pound right tackle, started the last 2 years at Ohio State. I mean, he's a dude, even though he went undrafted.
I was going to say, what a great story. You go undrafted, your college offensive line coach becomes the Cardinals offensive line coach, vouches for you, you come here, and you put good stuff on tape. And Frier has shown that he can play right side, left side. We saw him in the preseason playing both right tackle and left tackle. And to be some depth in an offensive line room and be in a spot where you can learn and grow and develop, especially in an offensive line room that has shown that they do a very good job with developing players. That's a fun story for Josh Frier.
I got to admit, our colleague Zach Gershman, for whatever reason, dug up a brief Twitter clip of Josh Frier playing in high school.
Okay.
And the clip he had was just hilarious. I mean, Josh Frier looked like he was already 6'4", 6'5", and he's blocking these dudes that look like they're about 5'11". I mean, I don't even know if he got anything out of playing football because he just stood there and like kind of grabbed the kid and then they couldn't move anywhere.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking of the epic,
Darnell
legendary
Dockett.
Darnell Dockett high school video.
Okay,
Doc looked like an NFL player with the same size legs in high school.
With all due respect to Josh Frier, the best two to go to YouTube and watch future NFL players playing in high school, you got to go watch Darnell Dockett, which is, it's so Darnell Dockett, number one,
right?
Even in high school.
I would have come out of the stands and pulled my kid off the field.
The other one, go watch Derrick Henry. First of all, have you ever seen Derrick Henry's high school stats?
No.
He ran for like 3,000 yards a season for like 4 straight years. He's got like ridiculous stats, and then you watch him. He looks just as big as he does now, except you're in high school. It's crazy.
Who was the running back at LSU, 4th pick overall?
Leonard Fournette.
Tyrann
Mathieu's boy, yeah.
And he told a story that in Pop Warner football, the parents protested and wouldn't let their kids show up for a game because no one believed Leonard Fournette was under 12 years old. And they literally would not let their kids on the field. And the Pop Warner had to tell Leonard Fournette and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Fournette, I'm sorry, but your son has been prohibited from playing Pop Warner football because every other kid is at serious jeopardy.
They thought that Leonard Fournette was going to Bishop Sycamore. Was that the name of the fake high school?
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, I don't want to get sidelined, but I got to tell you these Derrick Henry high school stats. Freshman, 2,465 yards rushing, 26 touchdowns in 11 games. 12 games as a sophomore, 2,788 yards, 38 touchdowns. 12 games as a junior, 2,610 yards, 34 touchdowns. Senior year, 13 games, 4,261 rushing yards, 55 touchdowns.
Oh, man. Yeah, he was 15 after his freshman year, and he already had the Corvette in the driveway. He couldn't even drive it yet, but the recruiters already were getting. By the way, not to get too sideways here, but the Holy Cannoli stat and looking at Ashton Genty from that Raiders-Cardinals game.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, he had over 2,600 yards rushing, second only to Barry Sanders all-time in a single season in college history, D1. But he had 1,970 of those yards after contact. I'm like, what? So that was pretty dang impressive. Okay. Josh Frier over Elijah Simmons. We have that. Jeremiah Byers did not make it. We saw that. Keaton Crawford, round 7, did make it.
Yep.
I'm talking about guys in the
Byers,
fringe.
the offensive lineman.
Yep, Jeremiah Byers. Xavier Thomas played over 50 snaps, speaking of the Raiders game, and guess what? He might have been the last guy in.
Xavier Thomas made some preseason plays, and I would think that played a large role in him making this roster when you had such tight competition, not only in that outside linebackers room, but with Jordan Birch specifically. The fact that you drafted Thomas and then a year later drafted Birch, the same position room, a day 2 pick, I'm sure he was feeling the pressure a little bit. So to have the type of camp and preseason games that Thomas did, he earned a spot on this roster.
He did earn it, although I will also say this. When you talk about, like, okay, you have an undrafted guy like Byers who played pretty well. I could see him being on the practice squad.
Yep.
I still have, when we were talking about this earlier, when we're talking about guys getting paid, I have no doubt that Xavier Thomas would have been collected up by somebody on waivers if he was cut. No doubt in my mind. So if you want to keep him around and keep developing him, you had to keep him on the roster.
That's the same thought with safety Keaton Crawford, a young player in a position room that has a lot of talent ahead of him in Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Rabbit Taylor Demerson, and Joey Blunt, who has been an ace on special teams, especially last year. You don't want to lose Crawford to another team, so you keep 5 safeties and you make it work. You have to find that number somewhere else.
Well, again, and if they let guys like Fehoko go, you got to have somebody playing special teams. So Crawford does that, and Blunt does that, and I'm very, very curious to see what the special teams starters look like when this is all said and done.
Is it revisionist history if I hit the rewind button, the cold tub time machine of 2 weeks ago, when someone on this show said there's no way there's room for both Keaton Crawford, Joey Blunt, and Simi Fehoko, and I was talked down from that, and then I ultimately agreed with you guys, groupthink.
I don't recall.
And then we're all wrong.
I don't recall that happening.
All right. 5 safeties, 6 corners. You have 11 DBs. Why do I not think that's feasible, viable, doable long term?
Because it's not.
It's probably not.
Again, I keep going back to this example. Right now, you don't have a long snapper. So you could have players on your roster right now where maybe you're thinking, okay, can we hang on to them for a little bit, let other teams look at the waiver wire, make their decisions. Then if we decide to release someone, we're more likely to get them on our practice squad because maybe other teams around the league will already feel happy with the additions they've got. Maybe this team wants to keep somebody and see how they pan out. And then early on in the season, if you need to make a trade or do something like that, there's so many different things that can happen with this roster.
Or it's just a question right now, you're keeping guys that you don't want to let go. And you're pushing this down the road because, all these IR and PUP guys will eventually be back, but you bought yourself at least a month, if not more.
Maybe you keep all these DBs until Hayden Connor or until Christian Jones, who are designated to return off IR, are really ready to go when you need that number.
Until you start having injuries, if you look at this roster, you can easily carry all these guys because there's plenty of spots for inactives on game days for now. Again, if somebody gets banged up or you get a run of injuries at one position, then you're behind the 8 ball a little bit.
So, speaking of injuries, the IR to return list includes Hayden Connor, Christian Jones, and
that's it.
And that's it, right? J.J.
For
Russell
now.
is done.
J.J. Russell's done because you could only do 2 IR to return at this point.
Okay.
You can add somebody tomorrow, like we suggested, Justin Jones or whatever, and that would be a reason why you'd cut Brewer right now is because you'd create a roster spot. But you got to get through that first wave of 53-man roster.
You know what's remarkable? Craig Grillo put this out on the Cardinals Insider Twitter account. 25 of the 28 draft picks the last 3 years are still on the roster. I thought it was going to have to be a much deeper cut than that. Clayton Tune, Tayshaun Palmer, Jaden Davis are the 3 draft picks from the last 3 years who were let go. Let's talk about Clayton Tune. I don't think anyone was really surprised. How many times did the head coach have to say, let it rip, trust yourself, get it downfield, and it just too many checkdowns, not enough downfield connections, and just not running the offense with enough, we'll use the word alacrity, enough speed and pace and making quick decisions, holding on to the ball too long. So with that in mind, and obviously Jacoby Brissett it was a slam dunk as a backup.
There's no need to have 3 quarterbacks on your active roster. And when the Cardinals brought in Brissett, a very experienced veteran QB going into his 10th season, if you read the tea leaves, this is what we were expecting from that happening. Now, the coaching staff likes Tune. It would not surprise me if he clears waivers and is signed to this practice squad. It's just a matter of this coaching staff wanting to see good footwork tie with the right eyes more consistently. And you're right, Paul, just letting it rip, playing quarterback, trusting your receivers, letting the ball go instead of hanging on to it and going through your checkdowns.
And make no mistake, there will be a quarterback on the practice squad. Now, we've got to see if it's Tune or not, but they're going to have a third quarterback, so they'll sign someone.
At the very least, you need someone at practice.
Yes.
Make no mistake, I will not make the same mistake I made last week. Getting cultured with Dani in 3, 2, 1.
I forgot about that.
Dani, we'll segue to you.
Getting cultured with Dani. It is not just directed at Paul.
Am I the default uncultured Philistine around here?
Yes.
You got me very excited now.
I am on social media and consume more pop culture than both of you combined.
I think I'm being unfairly profiled, but go ahead.
Let's go. I've got some beef with Paul because he started the podcast saying we weren't going to talk about certain things, and we absolutely are going to talk about certain things.
It's the biggest news in the world.
I also have beef with Paul because he told me I'd be fine to drive, and then I got caught in a dust storm. So maybe that'll come up a little later.
Dani, what do you mean you got caught in a dust storm?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
You mean your car got a little dirty? I mean, you know what? Just drive.
I mean, I was stuck in a grocery store for almost 30 minutes, Paul.
Stuck in a grocery store.
And then when I was driving, it was monsooning, and I was having to drive around trees in the middle of the road.
This isn't a tornado. It's not a cyclone. It's not a hurricane. It's a little dust blowing around and maybe a dust devil.
Ever heard of valley fever, Paul?
Okay.
I'm just going to say this. Don't consider any career changes to meteorology.
Darren, get her one.
Because you told me I'd be fine. I wouldn't get hit. Maricopa is a big county.
Darren still has some of the N95 COVID masks in his desk. You may want to grab one of those next dust storm that comes around. Here we go.
Here's what else I was disappointed in. The Love Island reunion. It was Monday night. I thought it was going to set me up for success with getting cultured, and it didn't give me anything, so don't worry. That's all I'm saying.
What has a shorter offseason, the NBA or Love Island? What's going on around here?
Now it's officially done. Thank goodness. I'm over this cast. Right. I'm not a fan of anyone at this point, so I had high hopes that it would essentially do my job for me with getting cultured. It didn't. So the first thing, I am a little delayed in this. However, there's a search for a new Air Bud dog. There is a nationwide search for Air Bud Returns, which is coming out summer of 2026. The original came out in 1997. It'll be the 15th film in the series, so you can take that Purge movies. And it is National Dog Day on this Tuesday, so that felt appropriate.
Yes, it is.
Cheeto, take Cheeto to the auditions.
Yeah, please take a Cheeto.
That would be great.
That would be good. By the way, where is it here?
There's been 15 Air Bud movies.
And they're all kind of different, but yes. So the Purge is
I bet you they're
behind.
all the same, but whatever.
Don't be a hater, Darren.
No,
Air Bud is a great movie.
Don't be a hater.
I think I've only seen two of them.
I've never seen it.
Well, then you can't make a comment.
I can comment all I want.
By the way, I was sent this story. Dog story, travel and leisure.
Are you taking over my getting cultured right now?
I'm going little addendum. Travel and Leisure magazine headline: This luxury airline for dogs.
Wait, I thought that was your idea.
No, that wasn't one of his.
Pup
it's just
champagne.
the Fat Farm.
It has in-flight fur massages and bottomless treats. It's luxury air, semi-private, chartered for pets.
This is why too few people have too much of the money in this world.
People, they're not people.
Wait, Paul, they deserve that. Okay, so I actually had this next bullet point on getting culture printed before the news of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift becoming engaged came out. So I'm going to stick with this. Well, before I get to that, Taylor Swift broke more records. When she appeared on the New Heights podcast, the podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce on August 13th, 1.3 million people simultaneously tuned in on YouTube, which set a Guinness World Record for most concurrent views for a podcast on YouTube. As of Tuesday morning, this was before the engagement announcement, it had 20 million views on YouTube. They have now announced that they are engaged to be married, so congratulations to the two of them. Her ring supposedly cost $500,000. It's an 8-carat rock. And that leads me to this question. Travis Kelce is in the final year of his deal, and this smells like retirement.
Yes.
But congratulations to the happy couple. You've now been cultured. You're welcome.
My favorite tweet or headline for today was podcaster and now engaged to recent guest.
Okay, Darren. This is no trivia this week, but I'm going to test your basketball knowledge, Suns knowledge. 7 seconds or less team, the outside shooter, the marksman who was engaged and/or married to the pop star. Can't remember.
Quentin Richardson.
Yes, and the pop star engaged.
I remember. I vaguely remember that she's a pop star.
Doesn't matter. We're at his
because I'd never heard of her before.
We're at his press conference, and I'm way in the back. And he announces that they were engaged, and she happened to be in the front row, and she puts her hand up, and it was an 11...
Brandy.
It was an 11-carat rock that you could see from the moon. It was ginormous.
They were engaged for 14 months.
There you go. Okay.
That's a long engagement. Well, did they get married?
I don't believe so.
Oh, no.
That just ruined your day? Back in 2005, where have you been?
No, that is not what ruined my day in 2005, but it was Suns related at the time.
That oh no had the same cadence as Ron Burgundy. I'm just saying, if you go back and you match that up, that sounded a lot like Will Ferrell right there. Speaking of, what else do we have here?
Wait. Speaking of what? Go ahead. What's that segue exactly?
I was going to go with the Bam Goes the Dynamite segue. For Bam Night, I was going to go the 67-yarder and do all.
And Bam Goes the Dynamite.
Yeah.
Great joke, Zonovan.
Yeah. So I'm looking at some of these the different position groups in the rooms.
That's going to be my favorite bit all season.
I will say this: we were talking about the cornerbacks, and I'm curious to know where Denzel Burke fits into this. He got a lot of playing time. He's obviously a draft pick. He's rookie. They want to develop him. He did struggle quite a bit in his playing time in the preseason.
It seemed like Elijah Jones was ascending, and Denzel Burke was struggling in the last two preseason games over the last couple of weeks. Now, Jonathan Gannon did say that Elijah Jones had some really good practice days leading up to the Raiders game, which I'm guessing figured in, and they had 2 back-to-back pass deflections, and he made a couple plays, so I'm guessing that factored in to him. But I never expected a scenario to see all 3 of them, Denzel Burke, Elijah Jones, and Keitrell
Here's
Clark.
my follow-up question to that. Do you need Burke to be able to be ready week 1 as a backup?
No.
Because you have 5 safeties. So
yeah.
If for some reason you need to make any sort of adjustment to your top 3 cornerbacks of Garrett Williams, Max Melton, or Will Johnson, you can move Williams outside. We've already talked about he's going to be playing outside more this year, not having Sean Murphy-Bunting or Starling Thomas this year, who both have season-ending injuries. You could then move Rabbit Taylor Demerson and have him play nickel. So you're not necessarily handcuffed to needing someone like Burke to be ready to go day 1 as a backup.
I guess a couple things here. Number one, we can check with the great Kyle Deroni, but he has an email in his box from Sunday night that says for posterity's sake, and it's my 53-man roster. And I did not obviously nail it because Bam night, but I nailed the cornerbacks and the safeties.
Really? You had 11.
I had all 11, and I had those 11.
Wow. Okay.
So anyways,
all
but
right.
The Burke thing.
You know what? The light goes on for Darren on that one. There we go.
I guess I'm more like, you must really feel like he's got a lot of runway to get better, Burke.
Well, that's kind of the whole point, no? Is if you draft a player and you like the potential and you like the ceiling and he's showing you enough good things, you keep certain players understanding we probably won't be ready to rely on you day 1 as a backup, but we like what you can develop into.
I guess the question is, did he show him enough good things?
Yeah, I would.
And obviously he did.
The only thing I'd add to that is, okay, what were his mistakes? Are they correctable?
Yeah.
Like if it's a matter of him, some poor technique here or there, but you see the raw talent. Yeah. You definitely see the work ethic. He supposedly was the first dude in the building. I mean, he beat a lot of the coaches in the building.
That's what cornerbacks coach Ryan Smith told me, was that both Burke and Will Johnson don't play like rookies in the sense that they don't prepare like rookies. They are putting in the work like veterans. And Smith mentioned Burke by name, saying there are times he is the first one in the building, and then he leaves after me. He is one of the last ones in the building. And Smith added that those two remind him a lot of Garrett Williams in that sense.
And I will say, like Burke, the touchdown Burke gave up against the Raiders, that was a hell of a throw by Geno Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, Burke was in a great place. That was just a better throw and catch.
No doubt. And, a lot of these a lot of these guys who are on the roster, you're thinking 2-3 years down the road, maybe even next year. Like, for example, Josh Frier. What's Jonah Williams' situation?
No,
He's
that's
in
fair.
a contract year.
You're right.
Kelvin Beachum easily could retire. Here's your swing tackle. So a guy like Josh Frier, you're thinking 2026. Where are we going to be? Who is going to be available at that position at that time? Speaking of offensive linemen, there's my segue. Let's stir it up a little bit. Okay? Will Hernandez. What are we thinking here? Dude is eligible to practice ASAP immediately?
Yeah, he comes off the PUP list, so he's on the roster, so he could start practicing tomorrow.
Wow. Okay,
Well,
so
he probably was out there today, actually.
the plot thickens.
Does it though?
Around the horn we go.
I don't know. I was wondering that myself.
I don't think so, Paul.
When do you think you'll see Will Hernandez in uniform active on game day? Give me a prediction.
Well,
Week
active
one.
Week
or
one.
playing? Yeah, active or
Starting
playing.
or active?
No, active. Has a jersey active on game day.
Oh, I think it'll be week 1.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna need offensive linemen. Doesn't mean he's gonna play.
You think he's not ready to play by
No.
week 1?
I don't think physically he's ready to go week 1.
Okay.
I'd say I'd opt for week 3 or 4, best case scenario.
Okay,
If that's best case scenario, then why were you taking him
Not
off?
to be a Debbie Downer, but just because he's ready to play doesn't mean we'll see him on the field. I mean, Gannon was very upfront that when he told the media that he already told his players, Evan Brown is your starting left guard, Isaiah Adams is your starting right guard. How many times has the head coach ever gone to that podium and been that forthcoming about players and having the positional roles? Right? That's pretty telling to me that when he says Will Hernandez is dead, I don't know.
When he said it, Will Hernandez wasn't not on PUP.
Okay.
Does he still say the same thing now? Probably. Does he still say the same thing in 2 weeks?
Look, competition is great. We have talked about Isaiah Adams having a very good camp. Evan Brown has looked good in his one-on-ones. I think, yes, there's competition. I don't believe that the moment Will Hernandez is game ready that he's automatically a starter.
Okay, so let's take this further then. What are the chances that we think Will Hernandez is starting by week 7?
That is higher to me.
Higher? Like, let's make it a yes or no.
Well, no, because it's very nuanced. Is it the moment he is ready to go and play, he's automatically a starter? No, I think
No.
I think they want it.
But I'm saying
but
is,
that's the difference.
okay. Here's
Because now you're saying by week 7, there's a chance that they might not feel as strongly with Brown or Adams. And now you're asking about other players playing versus the moment Will Hernandez is ready and healthy to go, he's automatically starter. I don't think that's the case.
Oh, I'm not. I forget this whole thing of like as soon as he's healthy, he's. I'm saying is Will Hernandez starting by mid-season, and yeah, it's going to involve other people. That's part of the question, I guess.
I'll be specific, and I'll probably regret to do this, but I'll say week 4, Thursday night against Seattle. There's a certain defensive lineman by the name of Big Cat Williams coming to town, and dude was a problem last year.
This is true.
Will Hernandez
Did not play in those games.
Yeah, I'd love to see a healthy, stout Will Hernandez playing the same brand of ball he's playing last year when he went down against Leonard Williams this year.
Well, I feel good that Will Hernandez will be stout regardless.
Yeah, not the greatest choice of adjectives. So anyway, I'll go down. I'll go down with that one. Will Hernandez by week 4 a starter. Not sure which guard position. I'd probably say left guard because I just think Isaiah Adams is the future. They're not going to mess with him. And Will Hernandez for the Giants started a lot of games at left guard. So
it's going to be fascinating to watch. I think when you look at this, especially once Hernandez is healthy, whether he's playing or not, the idea that you have Will Hernandez and Kelvin Beachum as your top 2 backup offensive linemen, I think is just, that's next level. Like that really tells you where you are as an offensive line, no matter what everybody keeps wanting to say apparently out there in the world that the Cardinals don't have a good enough offensive line.
I'm going to say by week 4 that no, Hernandez is not your starting left guard.
okay.
I'll go opposite of you.
Okay. All right.
I tried to go week 7. Nobody wanted to go week 7. Everybody took it all the way back to week 4.
And by the way, if I had to pick one under the radar guy who's vital to the entire team, I'd probably go with the right tackle, Jonah Williams. When Jonah Williams was healthy last year, it was a different offensive line.
Yes.
He was, for everything he fought through in terms of injuries, I mean, he was good. He really did a good job.
The only reason I have a smirk opposite of you is when you say he was healthy, that was for a quarter, a half of week 1 in Buffalo.
I know. Yes. And we all know what happened after he left that Buffalo game. It was not the same. The Cardinals' protection, the run blocking, and so
they went through 4 right tackles by week 3.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward. Although one of the big questions that I want an answer to, it's 3rd and you got to have it. It's 4th and you got to have it. Who are you running?
Paris.
Who are you running behind? Okay, I threw that out there, and Wolf talked me off that one because he said it can be tough to get to the tackle. You need an interior offensive lineman. You got to run behind on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. You got to stoke it straight north. Who are you running behind? So if Isaiah Adams can maybe be that guy, we'll see.
That's true.
I don't know. We'll figure that one out. What else did I miss here? Anything else stand out in terms of the numbers in any of the particular rooms? 5 receivers, that's not a shock, right? The fact that, how many guys, if you're Zay Weaver, maybe your role's in the return game, maybe you don't even dress on game day, I don't know. But beyond that, 9 offensive linemen, that's how many they had a year ago, correct? 9?
Yeah.
Broke camp. Really, the only big difference is they have one more corner than they broke camp with a year ago, correct?
And the defensive line.
And
you
D-line,
had
you had
6
one
on the
more.
roster last year. You go to 7. Good on PJ Mustipher. That's another player who had a very good training camp in preseason.
And 7 for now because one of them is Justin Jones. So maybe that's where that discrepancy comes from.
Right. We could go back and forth because then we say 6, and then if Nolen is healthy, he goes back up to 7, right?
Right.
But
although I will say, down the road, as good as PJ Mustipher has been, that might be your cut.
Is 7.
When Nolen comes
you
back.
won't have 8.
No. Yeah. That's right, because Justin Jones will eventually be back too. Yeah.
All right, last question. And we can pick this up next week if you want more time to think about this, but give me one aspect of this team, one trait of this team, something about this team right here, right now, that you think the rest of the NFL will find out in 2 weeks. What do you think you might have noticed or gleaned? And same with Cardinals fans. I'm not talking classified or inside info, just those who have watched every single
that I really
preseason game that you saw. Like, what do you think?
I think Trey Benson's going to be pretty good. It's funny with all the running back conversation over the last few days has been amazing because Michael Carter came in, gave one of the greatest press conferences last week. We talked about it. I think we talked about it. I can't remember, but he gave a great press conference last week. Everybody was like, is he going to make this team? All I saw over the weekend was, I don't understand why DJ Dallas is making this team over Michael Carter. How come they cut Michael Carter? I had multiple people say, I think Michael Carter is better than Trey Benson. Obviously, as it turned out, the coaches decided that Bam Knight is the guy over both Dallas and Carter. But it feels like Trey Benson has been slept on to a certain extent. I agree that when he first came into the league, he looked like a guy who was doing that Kyler thing when he first got to the league. I can outrun all these guys to the edge. Oh, wait, I can't. But before he hurt his ankle, he had figured it out. And that's what I've seen in practice, and that's what I saw in his limited time in the games, and I'm not sure why people aren't seeing that. And I still think James Conner is going to be the workhorse, but I think Trey Benson is going to be really good.
Dante Stills is going to have a phenomenal year. That is a name, not even just in preseason games, in practices. He was great. You can tell that going into his 3rd year, he is much more comfortable and he has been more consistent in winning his reps. And we talk a lot about the new faces up front of Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, Josh Sweat outside. Dante Stills is a name I would keep an eye on as somebody who is going to be a big problem for offenses.
All right, I'll go Mack Wilson Sr.
It's a good one.
I think he's going to have a breakout year. I just think, 2 words, athletic thumper. He's going to go sideline to sideline, and with that revamped and reset defensive front, if he's kept clean, and I just think he's going to bring more athleticism than you saw last year. He might even bring more physicality at that position you saw last year. Just the way he's able to attack and affect the quarterback, and if they decide to blitz him or bring him in various ways off the edge, we know his aptitude for that. That's primarily what he did the second half of last year, just out of necessity because of injuries. I just think Mack Wilson Sr. is going to make a name for himself this year.
Friendly reminder that when cornerback Garrett Williams has a fantastic season, I was the only person to pick him as MVP for our year-end awards last year. So just remember that.
Wait a minute. He's going to have a great season this year, and you want credit because you picked him as MVP for
Yeah, because I called
2024?
it. Yes, because
no, you didn't call it. That was for last season.
I'm saying I acknowledged how good he was before everybody else will. Don't be salty because I'm right.
See, Darren has that look on his face that I had last week in the Michael Carter press conference, the aforementioned.
Yes.
When he said he's been so locked into football during camp, he's been forgetting to call his parents, and that's a mistake because now his parents are, quote, in their 50s.
Things happen naturally.
And
I've sent that video to everybody.
I almost just, walked out in protest of
you can hear me on the video going, hey.
That's right. That's right.
Not winning behavior, Michael Carter.
That's right. If the light was on, we'd turn it off. And that'll do it for this edition.
Wait, don't we want to have real winning behavior?
Oh, that's right. God,
that's 2 weeks in a row.
I screwed it up, and then I wanted to get into the clubhouse thinking, all right, and we'll edit that out later.
I try to lead them there even.
Okay, here we go. All right. It's not on the prompter.
Can you display winning behavior? You have to consistently display winning behavior.
That's winning behavior.
You got to define what winning behavior is and hold people to that standard.
Yes.
All right, someone bad lead off. Go ahead. I'm handing the baton over. Winning behavior. Let's see. Food influencers. I don't want to profile anybody here. Dani, you want to take that one?
I actually didn't put this on the rundown, but I will take it. There were these food influencers, and if you're thinking, what does that mean? It's exactly what it sounds like. People eat on camera, and they give reviews, or they just have people who watch and like watching people eat, I guess. So anyway, there are these two food influencers, and I don't know who they are, Nina Unrated and Patrick Blackwood. They were sitting on the same booth eating, which is already a red flag, but I'm just going to give it to them and say maybe that's just for camera optics. As they're taking a bite of their food, they are in a booth next to the window. A car crashes through the restaurant and they get hit mid-bite on camera.
Okay, I saw the video. I had no idea who it was, so now I'm filling in the blanks. That's well done. Okay.
Thankfully, no major injuries, but what are the odds?
Wow. Okay.
Not good.
That wasn't like, haters gonna hate. That wasn't like
So what are we saying? That's winning behavior that they live?
I was saying not winning behavior. You get hit by a car.
Well, no, that's also true.
when you're indoors.
When you're indoors.
I mean, if you want a story about getting hit by a car, I'll be leading a breakout session after this edition of the podcast.
I heard about this.
Anyway, let's go.
This was one that I enjoyed. Minnesota high school football, the Apple Valley Eagles, they have had to move all of their games from night games to day games because there are these ospreys that are nesting in their light towers. And the ospreys are protected under state and federal law, and there's no way to get their nest down. And if you turn on the lights, they would have risked, quote, cooking the birds and starting a fire, unquote.
Oh, jeez.
So they're like, well, we can't turn these lights on. So now this whole high school season, they've had to move night games to day games.
That is winning behavior for animals everywhere.
Just take over.
Now, wait a minute.
Technically, we've taken over, Darren.
I mean, you better have laws that are protecting you, because if you're just a random bird and
Darren's
you go fly
just
someplace.
cook you.
But what if it's a Thanksgiving Day football game? Can you cook the birds then?
Not funny, Paul.
I've never had osprey, to be honest.
It reminds me, I took my first job in Medford, Oregon, and there was a massive fight going on, the spotted owl. Do you remember that controversy, Darren, way back?
Vaguely.
The spotted owl.
Is that everything to do with a whale in
I was going to say,
Oregon?
remember we talked about the dead whale being blown up to pieces?
That was also
and
Oregon.
That was one of the worst days of my life.
I mean, the entire state of Oregon was divided by a spotted owl.
To be honest, it was the worst day you heard about it. The actual... You weren't alive
Darren,
when
don't
it got
tell me.
blown
Don't
up.
tell me how I felt. Hearing about it was
Trust
one
me,
of the worst days of my life.
I would never ever dare to tell you how you feel,
Thank
Dani.
you.
You do a great job all by yourself.
Is anyone going to tell you about a car wash, it says here?
Okay, this is funny because I put this in last week before the Haboob. This was not during the Haboob storm, but when we came home from Denver, my car, I'm sure everybody's, was a mess with all the dust and crap on it. And I'd been meaning to get a car wash, and like a couple days after we were home, it started raining really hard for about a half hour at my house. So I just pulled my car out and left it in the rain. And then when it slowed down, I pulled back in the garage and wiped it down. I'm like, okay, not a great car wash.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was winning behavior. Like, let's use what nature is giving you. And
I mean,
I didn't use any of my water I was paying for.
You want to know a funny story? And this maybe must be a thing just in Texas or maybe where I'm from.
I mean, Darren, that's naturally reclaimed water, so you're environmentally friendly too.
If you get a car wash and you keep your receipt and it rains within 24 hours of getting your car washed, you can go and get another free wash.
Yeah, you get this here. You can get this here.
Oh, not where I've tried, because when I first moved to Arizona, I got my car washed and it rained the next day, and I went back to this car wash and I was like, "Oh, do you guys, like, I had my receipt, do you guys do another wash if it rains within 24 hours?" And he looked at me like I had a third eye. He was like, "No, I've never heard of that before." And I was like, "Oh, no, this is really embarrassing."
There's definitely places that do that.
Okay, good to know.
Well, Ron Wolfley, I can tell you for a fact, has a 20-year track record of the only time his F-150 gets washed is when it rains. So really, monsoon season is the only time it ever gets washed. By the way, speaking of influencers, are we now done? Do we have anything else? Ben DiNucci? Okay.
Did you guys see this on Twitter?
I did see that. That was well done.
I thought that he handled getting cut in a very classy way. And it's always, you know what, if you can have a little fun with yourself so other people aren't making fun of you. Ben DiNucci was cut from the Falcons, and he tweeted a picture of an airport beer, which is top of the list of beers you can have. And he said in his tweet, "Not many beers better than the airport. Quote, I just got cut from the NFL for the 7th time beer. Trust me, you wouldn't understand." He followed it up with another video where he is walking into his house and he opens up a box and it's a black blazer, and it's his way of announcing he's going to be involved with CBS Sports college football coverage. So good on Ben DiNucci.
So he had a job waiting for him. Now that's just smart.
Yeah. So my segue to quarterbacks and tying in influencers, I just texted my 15-year-old and I said, who was that influencer you cited yesterday? And she texted me back, "Oh yeah, Madison Beer and that football guy."
Okay, I've seen Madison Beer, a name. Who is that?
She's a singer. I say with somewhat of a question mark. I don't know if she also acts. I couldn't name one song by her. Maybe I'll have to culture myself so I can culture the two of you. She has been seen, though, with Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers.
There you go.
Although one of the paparazzi photos of them, like, grabbing lunch, Herbert was still wearing his leg sleeve out in public, which I thought was pretty funny. Like, he had just walked off the practice field.
He's had some swelling. Give him a break.
Okay, so that's the next power couple.
Are you calling they're the next Travis and Taylor?
Well, I mean, Darren needs somewhere to go with all his online searching. I mean, now that that's finalized and it's official and they're going to get married.
The next power couple isn't Jerry and Micah? They're the only ones without a contract now.
Yeah. Don't look at me. There was someone here who used to cover the Cowboys.
Can you imagine the prenup for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? My goodness.
That's probably significant.
Yeah.
My favorite tweet I noted the other tweet about Travis and Taylor Swift originally. My favorite response tweet along those lines, I'm going to leave out the adjective, but Darren Urban, the business guy, decides right when everybody's talking about this, he's going to tweet out, "Taylor Swift's net worth is 8 times more than Travis Kelce."
Classy.
Oh, okay. So J.J. Watt responded and said, "That's exactly what everybody was waiting to hear, Darren. Thank you for that information."
But I think they're friends. I don't think that was a dig at Darren. I'm pretty sure they are like partners in certain.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure in certain business endeavors. I think they are.
It felt like a dig.
But I think they're friends.
Here's my final contribution. I have a buddy who's a financial manager, financial advisor, I guess you would say. And he told me the other day he has an influencer who makes a lot more, and I mean a lot more than several doctors that he has as clients. So that's the way it works.
You know what, Paul? I wouldn't recommend you move into meteorology, but you could be an influencer.
You just have to serve a need, okay? Fill a need and do a really good job filling a need in the marketplace. There's obviously a need for these influencers.
You should see if you can apply to be an influencer with Cheeto to that special airline for dogs.
Just for that, I have a video of Cheeto I might have to send out here via Twitter on National Dog Day. We'll see. There is one that I might throw in there. Exactly. You know what?
15 Air Bud movies. I'm just reading.
And I'm sure they get better every time.
no free lunch. If he could even be an extra, Cheeto get an extra, get a little paying gig on the side, a little side hustle.
I thought
for
the whole
dog.
point of the Air Bud movies was it was one dog with people. There were no dog extras.
And if there were, you CG or whatever.
Darren, you just have to
okay.
watch the movies before you ask questions.
Yeah. All right, I'm out of questions and most definitely out of answers. That'll do it for this edition of Cardinals Underground, brought to you by Pacific Office Automation.